What's up, party people, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is a 2 looks with 1 palette tutorial. We're using the Emily Noel Makeup Revolution palettes. So these are the Emily Edit palettes, and I'm so excited. I've gotten so many requests from you guys to talk about these palettes. There are a lot of supporters of Emily Noel out there, me being one of them, and I'm so proud of her as a fellow YouTuber and also as a subscriber and a viewer of hers. And this has been a long time coming. She deserved to have this happen so much sooner, but I'm so glad that she's finally getting the recognition and the reward of all of her hard work. I am teaming up with Jennifer Joyce once again for this video. She's gonna be doing a review and a giveaway on her channel, so make sure you go check her out. I have collabed with her before. She kind of has that Emily Noel vibe. She's honest and genuine and trustworthy. She's not fake. She's just true to herself. She's unapologetic. She is just an all-around badass, and I have so much respect for her, and she's just so kind, and she's just got a really good spirit about her. So make sure you go check out her channel and her video. It will be linked at the end of this video and also in the description box. So tell her I sent you, tell her you're a party people. Yeah, without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started. So I did get both palettes. So you have the Wants palette, which is the big old Mama Jamma, and then you have the Needs palette. So the Needs palette is more just the basic kind of colors, like stuff that you could use on a daily basis. So here's what it looks like. It's very basic colors, you know, a little bit more neutral, but very everyday appropriate. And then also very nice mirror in it. And I think that one's 15, and I think the big one, the Wants palette, is 20. I could be wrong, but I will have everything linked below to Ulta. Here is the Wants palette. So as you can see, it goes a little past being basic. It's a little bit more colorful. You have quite a bit of selection. You could pretty much create any kind of look that you wanted with this. We're gonna be using this one. So here's what it looks like up close. And aside from the shade selection being so beautiful and there being a really good assortment of mattes and shimmers in here, this palette just has meaning. It just has like purpose, and it's just very personal. I feel like this was truly put together and constructed out of passion and heart. And just the shade names themselves, like, it just puts you in a good mood. It just gives you a very positive vibe. And especially with the Needs palette, because all the shades are like necessities in life, like courage, honesty, passion, love, hope, faith, peace. And they both do have a mirror, which is really, really nice. But the Wants palette has a huge mirror. It is so beneficial and just very, very, very useful. But I will say mine feels a little like, it doesn't feel very sturdy in here. Like, it feels like it's about to pop out, and that could be because where I ordered it online, it just kind of got jarred a little bit in translation. I'm not really sure, but it feels like if I wanted to, I could just kind of pop it out very easily. But I do want to point out that I do have to be fair and unbiased with these palettes, despite my love and support for Emily, because there are a few things I don't like about these palettes and the quality. But I have to take away any kind of bias that I have towards the person or the situation or just any parties involved to make sure that I give you guys a very well-rounded, honest review. So this isn't personal. I have to reiterate that in all my reviews. Reviews are not personal. It's all business. Enough rambling. I'm going to go into this shade right here at the top called the Cream, which is a matte kind of light nude shade, and use that to set my eyelid primer down. I do want to swatch the ones I'm using as I go. So here is Cream. It's very buttery looking, very smooth, and there's what it looks like on the back of my hand. Okay, so just a standard matte nude shade, very buildable, not super pigmented, but definitely gets the job done. So for this look, I think I'm gonna keep to more like the pinky, warm, purpley undertones in here. There's so much you can do with this palette. There's like an endless amount of tutorials I could do with it. I'm gonna first go into, let's see, where is it? Prayer right here, which is a very unique shade. It's matte, but it's kind of like a dusty, rosy brown shade. There's what that shade looks like. So I'm just gonna really blow this out in the upper crease from the inner to the outer corner. And I'm bringing it all the way in to about like where the bridge of my nose starts. All right, so very pretty shade, very, very buildable, and it just takes a little bit of blending and a little bit of patience to build up the intensity. So now I'm gonna go into Laugh Cry, which is a matte, it's kind of like a coral, like a corally peachy orange. So it is pretty toned down. It looks to be a little bit more intense and vibrant in the pan, but you can definitely sheer this out. So I'm just gonna put this in the lower crease and kind of in the outer V as well. This shade is a little disappointing to me because I wish that it was a bit more vibrant like it is in the pan. It's very, very buildable, but it's a little disappointing because it kind of looks like that Prayer shade, even though they look completely different in the pans. They kind of fuse together, and it's like you don't really have that differentiation between each shade because, I don't know, they unify way too much. And I do see some blending issues a little bit. I've been sitting here and going back and forth, and I still see quite a bit of lines in my eyes. It's like I can't get it super smooth. So now I'm gonna go into Cheer, and I'm so glad she put a color like this in the palette because it's a beautiful matte cranberry maroon red. I love shades like this so much. It is so beautiful, and I feel like it's so complementary with the other shades in the palette. However, this one is very, very dry and a little bit more chalky than the other ones. It's not super creamy. I'm gonna start putting this in the outer V and streaming it along the socket, kind of like in the lower crease. And I see blending issues with this one as well. I don't really know if it's oxidizing or if it's just not blending out. As you can, it's a little bit darker right there in the crease. But there's just a lot of lines and a lot of blending issues that I'm having. And I've been sitting here for several minutes with each shadow. I've been really taking my time with blending and trying to be patient. But when I'm in a hurry, if I'm going somewhere, like I don't have anywhere to be today, I don't have time to sit here and play with shadows like this. So now I'm gonna go into Love Tons, which is a really pretty matte kind of fuchsia raspberry shade. And that shade and the one we just used, the Cheer, it looks so much like the ones in the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette, like, what are they called? Red Ochre and Love Letter, I think. So yeah, this one looks a lot smoother and it feels a lot smoother to the touch. So I'm gonna do the exact same thing. I'm just gonna top off Cheers just because I really want to see that really pretty purpley undertone in there. I love these kind of shades. Again, this side is looking very, very bad, especially in the inner portion right here. That's usually where I have issues, and I don't know why. I'm switching my brushes. I'm not using the same brush for each shadow. I'm gonna go into Heartbeat now and use this as my eyelid shade. And this is just a really pretty shimmery satin, kind of grapey purple. And I will say something I've noticed with the shimmery shades is that they're not super pigmented. They're not really buttery and creamy. And I'm okay with not having all of that with matte shades, but with shimmery shades, I feel like it's a necessity for me. So I am gonna wet my brush for this one because using the shimmery shades dry is not very pleasing to me, but I'm just gonna put this all over the lid from the inner to about the center of the lid, and I am gonna bring this up to reach that very tip top of the crease. And I'm gonna try to cover up the lines. Okay, so that shade looks really, really pretty. It's very smooth, it's very even. It doesn't look choppy like the other matte shades I've been using, but it just looks like a very high-end eyeshadow on the lids. Like, it doesn't look like, sometimes cheaper eyeshadows can look a little bit dry and they just don't look very flattering, but this one's very, very pretty. But let's see, I do want to go into an inner corner highlight. So let's go into Oh Heavens, which is just a satin kind of like a very mild white gold. There's what it looks like when it's swatched. There's not really a whole lot of reflectiveness to it, so it's not over the top frosty or shimmery. It's more of like a satin kind of shade, but it has definitely like a whitish undertone to it. So this isn't too intense. It doesn't give a really vibrant pop of color, but if you're someone that doesn't like that, then you would definitely like this kind of color. It's very, very toned down, but it still gives the bright effect. Could be more pigmented, but it's a matter of preference for that kind of shade. So I'm gonna go into the cream again, which is that matte kind of nudie shade, and put that on my brow bone. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna go into a black eyeshadow now for my eyeliner instead of using an actual liner. I'm gonna go into Dark and Early, which is the matte black in the palette, and I look for a super richly pigmented jet black. So let's see. This one, I don't know if I've used this yet. It looks pretty jet black when I swatch it. Oh wait, hold on. Okay, looks a little smoky, a little bit more of like a charcoal. I'm just gonna stamp this at the lash line. Now I can already tell this is definitely more of like a smoky black. It's not a super like a carbon black, but it is working for sure. I mean, it is defining the lash line really well, and it is more of a buildable formula. Okay, so I went ahead and finished up the rest of my face. I put on some mascara, and everything I'm wearing will be linked below. So I'm gonna first go into Prayer, which is that first transition shade that we use, and just smudge that on the lower lash line. So now I'm gonna go into Love Tons and just do the exact same thing, but keep it closer to the lash line. By the way, that black eyeshadow did work out pretty well for using it as liner on my top lash line. I did have to build it up quite a bit, and I did have to dip back in for product quite a few times, but I feel like that will be beneficial for people that actually want to use it as an eyeshadow instead of a liner. So I'm gonna go into Pie Fi, which is a matte eggplant purple. There's what that looks like. It's a pretty pigmented, really, really pretty shade. I love purple. This one is a lot more intense and pigmented and smooth than the other shades. So I'm just gonna keep this on the very outer edge and keeping it really tight to the lash line, not smudging it out a whole lot. So I'm gonna go into lower lash mascara now. This is from Sigma. This is the Sinuosity Lash What is sinuosity? So here is look number 1 completed with a full face. So hopefully you guys can get a better idea of what it would look like if you had a full face of makeup on as well. And I really do like the way the eye look turned out. Despite the fact that the matte shadows gave me a lot of trouble, there were a lot of blending issues. It took me a really long time to blend everything. There was a lot of patchiness, choppiness. They looked really uneven. I saw lines. It just wasn't a very smooth blend. But I feel like the shimmery eyelid shade really brought it together and covered all that mess up. I'm gonna go ahead and take this off and we're gonna get started with look number 2. Eyes are primed. I'm gonna go ahead and go in and do the same steps that we did before. Basically where I'm just gonna set with the cream, which is that matte ivory shade. So I'm gonna create a completely different look from what I just did, and my heart is drawn to these green shades in the palette. Not necessarily this one. This one's kind of boring to me. And I will say this as well. Again, unpopular opinion, but some of these shades are kind of boring to me, and I feel like it's a very universal palette. Like the shade selection is phenomenal as far as like the versatility of it, but looking at it like at first glance, some of the shades are kind of dull looking. Like they're a little bit lackluster. It's just a personal preference thing. You guys may be drawn to them, but for me, my eye isn't drawn to shades like this that are kind of like, can we focus please? That are kind of like a lavender. This kind of light lime green is a little lackluster for me. This shade right here is a little dull. This shade Cupcake, a little boring as well. So there are some really, really pretty aspects to it, like just, you know, the overall appearance of it, but at first glance, it's like, a little boring. But that's just my opinion, okay? It's just my opinion. If you clicked on the video, you saw the title, it says review, probably, hopefully. So you're looking for someone's review. Don't bash me because I have a different opinion from yours. So I'm gonna first go into Hobby, and I'm gonna try to use all different shades. I'm gonna go into Hobby, which is a matte neutral tan shade, and use that as my transition shade in the crease. So you guys know the drill, just putting this all in the upper crease. It's very, very buildable though. All the matte shades are pretty buildable. They are pretty sheer starting out. There are some blending issues. Can you guys see that? Let me see if I can get closer. You see how it looks very choppy right there? So I did forget to show you that one. So once again, that one's Hobby. It kind of has like a yellowish undertone to it. It's very skin tone like. So now I'm gonna go into a couple of these more neutral brown shades because I didn't use them in the first look. So I'm gonna first go into Midwest, just a neutral matte tan kind of shade. It has a little bit of warmth to it. So I'm going in windshield wiper motions and circular motions and just really trying to build this up. I'm also putting this in the outer V, and I am trying to bring it a little bit further inward. Okay, not too many problems with that one. Again, buildable. It's across the board, the mattes are more sheer and buildable, so let's just get that out of the way. Now I'm gonna go into Dews Paid, which is a slightly darker version of what we just used. It's got a little bit more of like a terracotta undertone to it. It's like a toasted brown, and I love the meaning of that. I'm just gonna do the same thing with that one, by the way. I love the meaning of this because it's like she's paid her dues. You know, she's been on YouTube for a while. I'm gonna go into Apartment. Okay, we're just gonna keep building up these browns and just use as much as possible. I haven't used this one yet. So this one, oh my God, I didn't swatch the other ones. We'll get to that. I'm sorry, I keep getting sidetracked. So there's Apartment, and it seemed like the darker ones seem to be a little bit smoother and more pigmented. So it's just a really pretty, just neutral dark brown. And here is Midwest, which is the lighter of the two transition shades that we used. So there's that one. And then here is Dews Paid, which is the one that we just got done applying, which is a little bit more of that terracotta undertone. It's a little bit deeper. And I didn't really have any blending issues with those. There's not really a whole lot of unevenness or patchiness. I don't really see as many lines as I did with the other shades. I'm gonna go ahead and go in with Apartment and just put that in the outer V and kind of deepen up the socket of the crease a little bit. Okay, so I'm barely seeing this one. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go in with Side Hustle, which is the olive green. I just keep going back and forth on what I wanna do, but I'm just gonna work around it. So there's that one. And when you swatch it, it definitely does feel drier to the touch. It's not really creamy or smooth or anything, but I feel like when you build it up and use a wet brush, it will definitely give me what I want. Yeah, Apartment, I am not impressed with, and oh my God, there are so many lines. Good grief, Charlie Brown. So I'm gonna go in with one of the brushes that I used for the tan crease shades and just kind of circular motion that out. I'm not impressed with Apartment at all, though. It was really hard to work with. It did barely anything. I'm just gonna pack this all over the eyelid, same as usual, pulling it up to the socket of the crease to erase any of those mistakes. I've really been into green lately, and I feel like it's just very fallish, like it's just very seasonal. So that doesn't look too bad. It definitely does build up really well when you wet the brush. I'm gonna go into corduroy now. I did use this yesterday, and it worked out pretty well. Yeah, a little powdery, a little chalky feeling, but I didn't have any problems with it yesterday, so fingers crossed for today. So I'm just gonna put this right on top of that apartment shade. Oh, a lot of fallout. See, this is why you need to do your eyes first, just saying. I'm gonna start in the outer V and bring this up into the crease. It definitely is the most powdery one in the palette. Hopefully you guys can see that. It's got a lot of debris. And every time I pick up the palette, like the lid comes back so far that I feel like it's just gonna snap in half like the Titanic. So just be careful with your palettes, people. Okay, so a pro with this is that where it is more sheer, it's not as scary as you would think it would be to work with it. So you can definitely build it up. It doesn't start off too intense. That's one thing. However, I'm gonna zoom you in. But I don't know if you can see the eyelid shade now. It looks pretty naked. So when I was fluffing it in the outer V into the crease a little bit, hold on, let me move this microphone back. It completely knocked away the pigmentation. And it's like bare now. So I'm gonna have to go in and reapply that, but I've never seen that issue before. That's really, really weird. Let's go into the gold shade. Let's go into Top Story right here, which is the gold shimmer. And here's what that looks like. So I will say it is very consistent with the shimmers being all one way, the mattes being all one way. We've gone over, I'm gonna quit saying it now. I'm just gonna put that, I'm gonna wet the brush, I'm gonna put that right on the center just to kind of do just like a halo kind of thing. I'm just gonna pop that right on the center. So when you're looking head on, it's just right above the eyeball. And once again, I'm just gonna go into the cream and put that on my brow bone. Inner corner highlight, I'm gonna do Oh Heavens again, which is the one I used in the first look, just because it's the only champagne kind of color for the inner corner. So just popping that in there. I am gonna do eyeliner this time just because it is pretty bold. So I'm gonna go off camera and do that, and then we're gonna come back and finish with the lower lashes. Okay, so number one, doing your face makeup before your eyes makes no sense whatsoever. It makes your life so much harder. I had to do so much more work to clean it up. It probably would have been easier if I just took it off and redid it. I'm also not very happy with the way it's looking right now. It looks really muddy. Overall, I am not happy with this, and I don't want to feel that way, and I'm really trying to find the good, because I love Emily, and I want everyone to go out and support her, but I've got to tell you like it is, and I'm not trying to be negative. Like I've said before, it's not about being positive or negative. It's about just being honest and just giving you my observation. We are gonna go ahead and finish this up though. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do for the lower lash line. I may just go ahead and go in and kind of imitate what we got going on the eyelids. I'm gonna go into Side Hustle and smudge this along the lower lash line. And I'm gonna go into Top Story, which is the gold shimmer, and do the exact same thing as we did on the eyelid where we kind of haloed it. I'm just gonna put it right in the very center. I'm not wetting the brush for this either, it doesn't really need to be as intense as it is on the eyelid. Oh my god, why is there so much fallout? And then lower lash mascara. Alright, so here's a finished look. It doesn't look horrible. I feel like the color scheme is very, very pretty. I feel like everything coordinates well with each other, but the matte shades are not very good. You may have a completely different experience with these palettes. You may love them. They may be your everyday go-to palettes now. This is just my experience based on my personal preferences and what I look for. It's just not quite there for me. It is what it is. It's just makeup. It's not that serious. I still support her, and I support her journey and her passion that went into this, but you will be seeing more videos with these palettes. But that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully it wasn't too long. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and when you do that, comment below #partypeople to let me know that you're part of my party people squad, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Mwah.